Well, once again, this is the second Sunday of Advent, and it's the day that we focus on the idea of peace. I'd like to begin with a story. The story is about a man who one day was shopping for groceries in a grocery store and had a heart attack. Someone called an ambulance right away, and he was rushed to the nearest hospital for emergency heart surgery. The hospital happened to be a Catholic hospital, and when he awoke from after the surgery, there was a nun sitting by his bed. She had a clipboard and she had some questions. Mostly, she wanted to know how he planned to pay for his treatment. She said, "Do you have health insurance?" No, he said, no health insurance. Do you have savings? No, no savings. He said, well then, do you have a relative that could help with the payment? He said, no, my only relative is a spinster sister. She's a nun. At this, the nun became somewhat agitated and said, nuns are not spinsters. We are married to God. The man said, perfect. Give the bill to my brother-in-law. As you know, each Sunday we sing at the end of our service, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Today, we're going to go a step further with the idea of let there be peace on earth, and let it begin within me. I'd like to share with you a quote from Chief Black Elk. I believe this is from his book, Black Elk Speaks. He said, the first peace, which is the most important, is that which comes within the souls of beings when they realize their their oneness with the universe and all its powers. This center is really everywhere. It is within each of us. This is the real peace, and the others are but reflections of this. The second piece is that which is made between individuals, and the third piece is that which happens between nations. He said, but above all, we must understand that there can never be peace between nations until we first know that true peace which is in the souls of all beings. The truth is, the only way to have peace in the world is if each of us stops a war inside of us. If each of us stops our inner war. Now, here's something that Marianne Williamson said in her wonderful book, A Return to Love. She said, several years ago, I was at a cocktail party where I got into a very heated debate about American foreign policy. Later that night, I had a kind of waking dream. A man appeared to me and said, excuse me, Miss Williamson, but we thought we should tell you that in the cosmic roll call, you are considered a hawk, not a dove. I was incensed, she said. No way. I said indignantly, I'm totally for peace. I'm a dove all the way. I'm afraid not, he said. I'm looking at our charts and it says very clearly right here, Marianne Williamson, warmonger. You're at war with the president, the Secretary of Defense, the CIA, in fact, the entire American defense establishment. No, I'm sorry, you're definitely a hawk. She said, of course, I saw that he was right. I had just as many missiles in my head as the president had in his. I thought it was wrong for him to judge people, but I thought it was okay for me to judge him. Why? Because I was right, of course. I spent years, she said, as an angry left winger before I realized that an angry generation can never bring peace. Everything we do is infused with the energy with which we do it. As Gandhi said, we must be the change that we want to see in the world. What the ego doesn't want us to see is that the guns we need to get rid of first are the ones in our own heads. The only way we'll ever stop outer war is to stop our inner war. And the only way we'll ever stop our inner war is to stop seeing ourselves as separate from God and separate from other people, and to stop believing that we are only human. In John 14, Jesus said, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world gives, do I give this peace to you." How does the world try to give us peace? And when I read that, the way I read it is, how does our ego mind try to give us peace? Our ego mind says, is there a problem? Look for a solution outside yourself. Our ego mind says, is there a conflict? Sweep it under the rug. Our ego says, are you worried? Distract yourself. Stuff your feelings. And our ego mind says, if you feel bad about yourself, find someone to judge. How does Jesus give us peace? He said very simply, believe in me. Actually, this is an Aramaic figure of speech, and it means believe that my way is the path to true peace. Here at Unity, we say, Jesus is not the great exception, but rather he's the great example. So what was his way, his path to true inner peace? Well, first of all, he did not accept that he was only human. He did accept his divinity, his oneness with all that God is, divine love, divine power of creation, divine wisdom, and divine aliveness. And he knew God or spirit as his one source. We will never find true inner peace if we believe that we're only human. Also, inner peace is not something we gain simply by affirming it. We can affirm, I am at peace, till our hair grows right down to the floor, and still not be at peace if we still have beliefs like, things happen to me that I don't want to have happen. If we still have beliefs like, my body can kill me. If we still have beliefs like, there is value in attack thoughts and judgments. If we still have beliefs like, the source of my good is outside me. For example, that my source is my partner, my boss, the economy, or the stock market. So how do we find and awaken to and experience this inner peace? We awaken to our divinity and our oneness with Jesus, our older brother. At Unity, we call this knowing Christ consciousness. Jesus, as you may remember, said, the things that I do, you will do, and greater things will you do. And in another place, he said, have you not read? I said that you are all children of God and children of the Most High, and To add emphasis, he said, and the scriptures cannot be broken. The first aspect of Christ consciousness is eternal aliveness, knowing that we are eternal beings and actually can't die. Here's what one author says about this. He says, through the years, I have had the opportunity to talk with dozens of people who have had near-death experiences. After returning from clinical death, whether Christians, Jews, atheists, or agnostics, they have described the experience of dying as like taking off a heavy suit of clothes, as waking up from a dream, as encountering indescribable radiance and bliss, as being connected with all things, and as having total knowledge. Also, as seeing how every event in my life made perfect sense. And here's Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, on his deathbed. He exclaimed, "Don't you see it? Don't you see it? It's glorious. It's glorious." The next aspect of Christ consciousness is knowing that we are made of love. When we're in fear or attack or control, there's no inner peace. And the great how-to for this is forgiveness. Forgiveness all day, every day, constantly forgiving everyone, including ourselves. One of my colleagues told me a story about a woman in his congregation who went into the hospital and had surgery to remove a benign tumor in her abdomen. However, after the surgery, she wasn't getting better. In fact, she was actually getting worse. She continued to run a fever and was feeling really lethargic day after day. Finally, after several days, the surgeon came into her room, sat down on her bed, and said to her, "I'm a good surgeon, and I did a good job on this procedure." He said, "You should be home by now. But if anything, you're sicker now than when you arrived." He said, "We've run all the tests. There's no infection. There were no surgical complications." He said, "Here's what I think." He said, "I think that I removed everything that could be removed by a surgeon." And he said, "However, I think there's something inside you that only you can remove." And with that, he walked out. The first word that popped into her mind after that was Michael, her ex-husband. For years, she had felt deep hatred for her ex-husband, Michael, and his new wife. Michael had left her for a younger woman, and she had continued to seethe about this. So right then, she got out of bed, sat in a chair, and wrote a letter to Michael and his new wife. In the letter, she said, "Michael, I forgive you for leaving me." She said, "The truth is, the marriage wasn't that great for me either. And to both of you," she said, "I want you to know that I wish you every happiness in your new life together." The next day, her fever broke. The day after that, she went home. And the next week, she was back at work. The third aspect of Christ consciousness is knowing our divine power of creation. Realizing I am never a victim. Things don't happen to me, they happen through me, according to my consciousness. A Course in Miracles says, look for solutions where they can actually be found, and that means within us. It also says, Everything that happens to me, I ask for and receive as I have asked. This means that blame, whether for others or ourselves, is a waste of time. Blame keeps us in conflict and out of a state of peace. And the fourth aspect of Christ consciousness is letting Spirit guide us. The Holy Spirit is speaking to us 24/7. Learning to listen to the Holy Spirit is the path to inner peace. Trying to figure out what to do next keeps us living in our head and out of our heart. And living in our heart is the way to have true inner peace. One day, a man made a commitment to be a blessing to everyone in his life. The next day, he had a job interview scheduled, and things happened that he had no control over. And he realized as he was driving to the interview that he was going to be 15 minutes late for his interview to get for this job. On his way there, as he drove, he saw a woman standing by her car with a flat tire, middle-aged woman. And he said, okay, no, what should I do here? I want to be a blessing, but I also need to get to my interview. And the guidance he heard was, stop and help this woman. So he did. He stopped. He changed the tire. She was grateful. She got in her car and left. He looked at his watch and he thought, well, now I'm going to be almost an hour late. So there's probably no use in even going to the interview. But his guidance told him to go anyway. And when he got to the interview, after he had filled out the paperwork, the application, and was led into the office of the director for personnel, he looked up and saw that it was the woman that he had helped alongside the road. And of course, she gave him the job on the spot. The final aspect of Christ consciousness is knowing God in us as our one source of love, of ideas, of prosperity, of everything we want. So the path to inner peace is nourishing and nurturing our relationship with Spirit, just as Jesus did, by taking time daily for prayer and meditation. Remember Deepak Chopra's words when he said, meditation is the way to create spaces between our thoughts. And he said it's in those spaces that we hear Spirit speak. So the more we slow down our intellect, the easier it becomes to hear our guidance. The path to true inner peace is to follow our mentor, our older brother Jesus. He is our example and our way shower in how to claim Christ consciousness. So I'm going to affirm something, and then after I say it out loud, I'm going to invite you to say it out loud. Here's the affirmation. The same mind, heart, and spirit that Jesus demonstrated are also in me. Together, the same mind, heart, and spirit that Jesus demonstrated are also in me. Have a wonderful, peace-filled week and a joyful Christmas, celebrating the birth of Jesus and the birth of the Christ in you. Namaste.